thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for being at least affiliated or connected to No Code Devs. We're very happy to bring you these sessions every couple weeks, if not every week at this point. And we're really excited today to have Triggre here. We have Jesse, who's with Triggre, and I'll let him do his own introduction, but really excited to have him presenting today and talking about the product and giving a demo of the product. So we'll go ahead and turn it over to him so we can get moving here on what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. So first of all, a big thank you to the people at No Code Devs for hosting this webinar, and obviously to all of you joining in from everywhere, including Johannesburg, I see, in Italy, because you're interested in this. So that's really nice. Thanks for participating. So let's get going. Now, we don't have, normally I say that at the bottom of the screen you can use the Q&A button, but today we're gonna have the chat button instead. So if you have a question, feel free to ask it. And I've been told that Paul is very good at handling questions and filtering out the ones that I should answer, so he'll let me know. So thanks in advance for doing that. So if you have any questions, just put them in the chat there. So let's get going. My name is Jesse, well, I'm one of the two founders of Triggre. I have a university degree in software engineering, and I've built software using many different programming languages from like C, C++, PHP, JavaScript, you name it. So far, I've founded 3 different SaaS companies, of which the first was when I was 19 and was still in uni. And with those companies, I've served customers ranging from enterprise level customers all the way through small, medium businesses. So basically like ranging from tens of thousands of employees to those that had to make the decision of hiring their first employee, which is really cool. As an entrepreneur myself, I love that moment. So that's a little bit about me. My co-founder, Mark, and I, we started Triggre because we were totally fed up with the endless back and forth to our development team that we had back in the days and doing projects. And to be honest, they also were kind of fed up with us going back and forth with them. And that's why we decided to build Triggre. So our customers could actually make those complex business applications themselves. That was our vision when we started. And today, what we see is that more and more small, medium businesses around the world are actually using Triggre to improve their businesses. So you can see, this is just a number of them. We have a lot that are using it. Now, obviously, the big question for today, and that you want to have answered, is does it work for me, right? Can Triggre be used in my company or for my specific business process or for my customers? And many have gone before you, luckily, and started using Triggre. And here's what they had to say. Rene is one of our first users, and he's been with us for years now. And he said he wanted to build an application without being dependent on programmers, and he recommends Triggre to anyone who doesn't want to depend on others. So really a guy who did it himself, built a whole system for the company that he works at. We have Ed, who says, my experience with Triggre is excellent. You were guided every step of the way, and I certainly recommend it to other people. Now, Ed and Rene, they're both, oh, I see power failure from someone. Okay, I'll see you soon. But Ed and Rene, they are both, they're partners with us. So we have an excellent partner program. But we also have customers like John from NCR. Now, NCR is in the US, very well-known company. But he said, look, finding the right solution proved to be very difficult. That was until we got acquainted with Triggre, and it gives us the ability to experiment with new insights so we can continuously improve our supply chain processes. NCR right now uses Triggre all around the globe in like 4 or 5 or so distribution centers. So it's a good testament to how our software can be used. So let's look at that, right? A couple of real world cases where they were made actually by people like you that are no coders, like Ed, like Rene that you saw, and John. So you get an idea of what's possible and how it might be able to help you. So one case quickly is PB International. They've built a proposal and order management system. Their problem was that they had data which was like spread over several applications and including some Excel sheets and even a lot of paperwork. The solution that they made with Triggre is an end-to-end proposal to invoice process, including assembly, audit, and maintenance support. So in other words, they now have the entire process, including compliance, in a single application. And this has led them to an efficiency improvement of more than 300%, which is insane. So they're very happy with what they've been able to achieve in a short result or short time period. And the second one that I want to quickly show is Technea. They built an energy calculator. Their problem was that calculating the best ways to save energy for customers was a manual and time-consuming process. So they do like solar panel installments and other, let's say, energy savers for homes. And the solution that they wanted to was to automate the energy calculations based on a few parameters that they could enter per case. And Technea actually knew what it would cost to have the solution built. Because they had a quote, and it saved them $55,000 on the initial project alone. And they continue to save money every time that they make small adjustments or big adjustments to this application. So those are a couple of ones. We have another that is OCI. OCI built a customer portal in Triggre, which is connected to their SAP system in the backend. So it gets like order data in, and it allows the users to basically do their large customers to handle them online. OTX Logistics, another one who provide the logistics for, among others, Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Polo, Ralph Lauren, implemented a application with Triggre that automatically retrieves data from several systems and uses that data to create automatic forecasting of shipments, both incoming and outgoing. So that's a logistics process that they've built. Those are just a couple of the different cases that have been made with Triggre, but they give a good sense of the extremely wide variety of problems that you can solve with Triggre today. But as always, right, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So I bet you want to see what Triggre can do and how it works. So I've prepared a demo in which we will build an application you could really use from scratch in only, well, I'm going to do it probably in 20 minutes, I hope. So what we're going to be building, I wanted to build something that everyone can easily understand. So we came up with this idea for a reservation system for an imaginary small company. Now, you can make a reservation system for anything, obviously, from meeting rooms or beamers or whatever. But in this example, we will make a car reservation application. So imagine that all of us together, we are a 10-person company and we have 3 cars available. This often means that our colleagues cannot use a car when they need to, and currently there's no way to check whether the car is available or to make a reservation. So the solution is a simple car reservation system where employees can reserve a car for a specific day. And the steps that we'll take to make this are that we'll first build the inventory management, and then we will make the reservation feature. And we're going to do that from scratch. So let's get cracking. Let me switch to my browser. There we go. This is the Triggre Designer. So this is the screen that you would see when you go into our designer. It has 3 main areas up here in the top: design, publish, and versions. And we're going to just start with design. You can choose then from data, flow part, which basically is the data in your application, flow parts, which are processes that you can reuse. You can reuse them in automation flows, which are automatic processes that don't require any user interaction, and user flows. And user flows are basically user interface and workflow combined into a process. And then the appearance is where you structure your menu items, where you hang your user flows basically in your menu structure. We're going to start with data, and we're going to see that we have a user here. So that's already there, that's built in. But we are going to start by making a car. So we need a car because we need to store cars. Add that. And we want to give car a couple of properties. So select text. So you see that there are these wizards that will help you. And we'll give the car a license plate. And we will give the car a picture because that's just fun to do. I have some picture prepared. Picture. Let's go with a photo. There we go, done. That's basically all we, for now, need for a car. But we then want to obviously have a way to manage cars in our application. So this tells Triggre, you know, I want to be able to store a car. So we're going to go to user flows directly, and we're going to add one because we don't have any. And we're going to use a wizard here quickly. And we have this overview, add, edit, and delete data because you always need this for like business applications. We're going to use that, and we're going to say, okay, car, that's what we want. We want all the both properties that we have. We want to add them. We want to be able to add a new car, edit a car, and delete a car just in case. We can sort the fields, but that's fine. Let's sort on license plate, smallest to largest, that's fine. Name, all cars or something. There we go. So now you have a user flow, and a user flow, if you open it, you can see what it is. So basically it shows what the user will do when they start here, right? So they start here, you get to this car overview, which is a page, as you can see. And then from there, they can click some buttons like add, which leads them to this page, where if they fill some form fields, as you can see, some form fields, then when they click done, this process, this flow part, create car, is executed, and that means that the car is saved into the data. And then you get back to the overview where the car will show up. So what I will do is I will now add this to the menu. So we'll go to appearance, little menu structure, so you can see this is your application, what it will look like a little bit. And I'm going to say this is going to be something like ability or something. I don't know. It's an idea. Delete. And then under there, we're going to add the all cars. And that is actually it. Now we already have our inventory management. I'm going to go to publish. And I'm going to publish this. Now I have a lot of environments because you can see I give a lot of demos, but for this one, I'm going to use demo 1. So I'll click this, I'll click publish. And this will take like, I think 30 seconds or a minute, depending a little bit on your design and what is already there. Currently it's empty. But it's interesting to know that right now, what Triggre does is it takes your design that you just created and it actually builds software. So it writes actual software. And for those that know something about programming, it will then compile that software and then install it into our data centers. It also creates the database and all the scripts and stored procedures around that. So it really creates code. And the reason that we've taken this approach is that we come from a background where processing data is very important. So we wanted to make sure that you have a lot of scalability in your application so you can use like millions of records and it should still work. So this is why we chose to really compile the program into a machine language and roll it out. Every environment that you get, so your application is also separate from others in that sense. So it's really your database, your data. It's not shared in that way. So it's now published. And we can go back to this dashboard here. And if we scroll down a little bit, I have all these different, normally you have like main and lab, but I also have demo 1, demo 2. So I'll click here and that opens a new tab with our application in it. The first time load will take a second. That's sadly a thing that we can't easily help, but here we go. So now we have an empty application, right? So you see we have the fleet, the all cars, but there's nothing in there. But we do have a button that says add. So I'll click it. This leads us to this. Now I have no idea what for license, kind of license plate 1, no code devs, something like that. Seems like a good file. Let's see. I have some pictures somewhere here. Nice. There we go. I have a little thing there. Click done, just like we just said in that little flow, right? So now we have a car. Let me add another one. Just quickly. 2 steps. I don't know, something like that. Okay, second file also done. We have now a second car and the third car that I've prepared. I didn't have that already. There we go. And now we have the cars. Now, when I say, oh, wait, I messed up this license plate, I can use the edit button when I select the item, right? So I select this car, click the edit button and say, oops, this should be 1 NCD. There we go. Click done. And it's saved, just like we just saw in that little flow. So this is how quickly you can actually build something that does inventory management. And now, obviously, what we want to is we go back to the designer. And the next thing that we want to do, I need to scroll down here a little bit in my notes. So we are going to make that reservation part, right? So making a reservation is basically, again, the same process. We're going to start with data. And next to car and user, we're going to actually create a reservation. Reservation, go, add. And a reservation can have a date to start with. We'll call this date reservation because we're just going to reserve for a whole day. And then we're going to link a user to it, or first a car. Let's start with the car. So we're going to link the car, which is reserve car or something, right? And then Triggre asks you, how does this relate? Like, how do reservation and car relate? So we're going to say a single reservation can only have one car. Yep, that is correct. But the other way around, a single car can have more than one reservation because it can be reserved for, let's say, today and tomorrow. So that's what we're going to do. And you see here a visual representation of that. There we go. And then this is, okay, we'll also create a property for car. And we'll call that reservations. And then done. And what you see is there's a line here now. So it says here reserved car, it's car. If I click open this one, you see that it's reservations, it's a list of reservations, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to add another reference to the user because someone has to reserve it. So I'm going to say reserved by. Next, same question, same thing, single reservation, one user. User can have more than one reservation, right? Similar logic. So we'll say reservations. Again, done. And we see the other line appear here. So this concludes our data. This is all that we need for now. And now we're going to actually do some preparation in the flow parts. So we're going to make a process that gets us the available cars on a certain date. So we're going to add a new process, opens an empty one. And what we're going to do is we're going to call this get available cars because that's what we want it to do. And this is just a process like any process that you might know, or like mathematical functions. It just has inputs, right? So we're going to add an input, and it's going to be a date. Specific date, one date, no list. It's going to be a reservation date. Click done. Now we have an input. And then the next step that we're going to do is we're going to make what is called a lookup. So we can look up data. And when we do that, we're going to look up, in this case, reservations on that specific date. So we can do that by creating a rule, and that rule filters out which data should be shown. So if this rule is true for a data item, let's say for a reservation, then it will be in our selection, and otherwise it will not be. Now, what we want is we want that reservation. It has a property called date. We just created that, right? We want that to be equal to, and then we say property from the flow part, and then the input that we just created, the reservation date. And that will give us all the reservations on that specific date. Now, that's not exactly what we need yet, but we'll get to that in a second. So we'll say reservations on date. And the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to look up all cars. So I'm going to, again, do a lookup, a lookup. This I'm going to say car, but I need all cars. So I can just keep the rule empty, and then it will just select all cars, right? It says here, look up all car data. If it's empty, okay, cool. That's what we need. List, say all cars. Okay, and then the final step is that we now have exactly what we don't want. So we have reservations, but we want the cars that are available on other dates. This is just all cars, but this is why we prepared this. So we're going to do another one, a little calculation. So we're going to say here that we do a calculation here. And you can calculate with a lot of things, like with lists, with strings, with numbers. And in this case, we're going to do a little bit of calculating with a list. So we're going to do a function that those are built in. And Triggre will show you only the function and the things that you can need. So it filters out all the things that are not compatible with what you're currently building. So we're going to say remove A from B in a list. So we have a list, and we're going to remove something else from that list. Okay, so what we have is we're going to say that we're going to remove and you see the reservations on date. We can expand that, and then you see reserved car. And this is also a list because it's in a list. So now we have a list of the reserved cars on that date that we're going to subtract from all cars. Flow card, all cars that we've just looked up. There we go. And this gives us exactly the available cars on that date. So this is how, with only 3 actions, you can very quickly create some logic that does exactly what we want. So we're going to end the flow part now. All right, so here we go. And we're going to, as an output, say available cars. Name it like this. And that's it. So now we have a little process that it takes as an input. It takes a reservation date, it does some steps, and then as an output, it gives you the available cars. Right. So this is how you can quickly make a process like that. So we're going to go back, and now we're going to go back into our user flows and make a reservation user flow. So next to the all cars where we can manage our inventory, we're going to go and create one from scratch this time. And this is I'm going to call this reserve a car. Go. So we're just going to get started here. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a page. And that page will be reservation. There we go. And now I'm going to exit this, and you'll see that this turns red. And the reason is that this is not done yet. So let's say that I'm now stupid, and I'm going to go like, you know what? I know better than Triggre. I know better. I'm just going to publish this anyway onto my demo 1, right? Triggre says there's an error, but I don't believe Triggre. Then it says, hey, look, I don't know what you're doing, but I cannot make software from this, right? So, okay, cool. Let's say that you have this. Then to solve that problem, you need to know where to look, right? If I mean, now it's very obvious, but now if I see here, design, it says, hey, one thing, let's see. Oh, user flows, one thing. So I can trace this dot very easily, and I'll end up here, and I'll click this, and it will show me, oh, wait, there's just like no content here. So this is how quickly you can, if something is not correct, you can very easily find where it is. We're going to add something here. And what we'll add is a form field. And in this form field, in this case, will be a date, because we want to have a date on which to reserve a car. Reservation date, I'll call that. There we go. Help text is required, and we want to pre-fill it because we want to have today's date in there to make it simple for ourselves. Current date. There we go. No validation. You can do a lot of more advanced things, but this is what we need now. Now we have a page with a reservation date, and we're going to continue building our flow. Now, when we have that reservation date, we click here, we can add a button to that page that will allow the user to flow further. So we're going to go over to next. And what we're going to do is, it says submit the form, right? So every time you get this one question that you have to answer, basically, this is basically the main thing about the platform. We don't need rules. What we need is we need to add a new, in this case, flow part, because we're going to use that flow part that we just built in this process. We're going to use that, we call it get available cars. And now it says, hey, you have an input. Maybe you want to give something to the input. So we're going to do that by clicking it. And we're going to say a date from the user flow. And now you can see here the page reservation. I can actually select the reservation date there. Boom, there we go. Reservation date, done. And now we have our process with an input. Now, what might happen is that there are no cars available. So we're going to make a decision here. Go, boom, property, flow part again. We're going to say if this list of available cars, right, that we have, if that is not equal to empty, then there are cars available. So we're going to call this cars available. No, that is not correct. Sorry, I'm a stickler for typing correctly. So cars available. Let's say that there are no cars available. In that case, right, we want to add a new page. No cars available. Done. And again, we can edit this page. Go into here. We'll just use some text, and we'll say sorry. No cars available on, and then we add the date by inserting a placeholder, which is on that page that we've added. We can select the reservation date, and now it's on there. There we go. That is the case in which there are no cars available. Now, let's make the case that there are cars available. So if it's true, there are cars available, we're going to add a different page. In that case, select a car is what we want. We'll make a select a car page. And on this page, we will actually want to have a whole list of the cars. I'll use a table for that. And now you don't have to directly select stuff from your data, but you can actually get it from the user flow. So that flow part that we built earlier, which gets the available cars, I can just list the output of available cars that we created. And that's what I can use. And I'll use the license plate in the photo in the list. These are fine. Fine. Clickable preview is fine. There we go. You can search on it. This is also good. Don't need to download it. There we go. So this will show a list of the cars. And then the next step that we can do is say, well, reserve. There we go. And we say apply to an item that is selected. We say that no additional rule applies. Add a new page. In this case, it's what we're going to do is a flow part. I'm going to say create reservation. This is actually managed by Triggre. These flow parts create, update, and delete, so you can just use them. So we have to fill in the date, right? And the date is in the user flow because that reservation page, we entered the date. And reserved by, we can use the current user. And then the reserved car, we can say, hey, the selected car page has a selected car in the list. So this is how easily we can fill the inputs, which is done. Now a reservation has been created, stored. I'm going to show the user a nice page, and then we're done. So I'm going to show the page. Go, reservation completed. Done. And what we're going to do is I'm going to add really quickly text here. It says, nice. You have reserved license plates. The car with license plate. That one for the date. So we have a nice message for the user. Done. And that is it. And now we have actually made a reservation system. So we'll add it again to the menu. This is something that we have to do. Go, let's say reservations or something. And we'll add it under here. And then we'll go back to publish. Now, what happens now, again, software's created and everything, but we already have data in our system, right? So when you publish this, all your data stays intact. And there is no need for you to migrate anything manually. Obviously, that all gets done. Even if you would like add data like we've done, basically the car now has a reservation list that just gets added on there in the data model automatically. If you would remove a property, it will get removed while the data stays intact. So all those things are made very simple. And yeah, that way you can just worry about the logic of your application without having to worry about the migration of data or, did I back that up or not? So we're back here on the dashboard. We're going to quickly go again to our demo one and see what has happened now that we have these changes. I have to wait for it to load for a sec. Sorry, it's white, but here we go. So we have our cars, but now we also have a reserve cars. So we're going to do that for today. Next, right? It's the cars. I'll get number one, reserve, and it shows the message just like we want it. Now, quickly to show you that we can also just get all the cars because we're allowed to. And you can make rules yourself, right? For basically not allowing someone to reserve 2 cars for a day, but I'm just going to hog them. So I'll reserve all of them just to show you that when I've reserved all 3 and I click here and I select the same date, it will say, hey, sorry, no cars available. So that is how you can really quickly build an application that is actually useful and will actually work, and it will scale up So there's no need to look at that. Like, hey, is this just a little MVP or something? No, it will actually scale up to millions of records if you need to. Now, I've shown you a quick demo of what Triggre can do, and this is obviously just scratching the surface. People often ask us whether Triggre can handle complex processes because it looks so simple. It's easy to think that Triggre cannot handle any complexity. But this is, for example, a process that calculates shipping costs for an air freight. And as you can see, you can make very complex processes. This is just one step, even in a larger thing. And instead of taking weeks, you can do this really quickly in a couple of hours. The second thing that people often ask is, hey, can you connect Triggre to other systems? Well, we have Zapier integration. That's one of the most used ways. So you can connect through Zapier to send data to and from other applications. So that's also there. And maybe you're wondering, hey, do I also have to start from scratch like you do because you're pretty good at that? Well, of course not. We have a lot of templates. And these templates have names like Berry Back Office and Albert Approval, but they cover a very wide variety of use cases. And you can use these to quickly get started. You can find them on our website. We even have a little template finder that allows you to select the one that is right for you. So right now we are roughly through the time for the demo and everything. So if you have any questions, please do type them into the chat if you haven't already done so. And as a last thing before I will answer them, we currently have running since last Thursday, we have running an AppSumo deal. So normally we would give you a deal, something else, but honestly, this is the best deal that we'll ever have. It will only run for a couple of weeks. It's because we launched in the US recently. So we have this deal. So I figured that why give you anything else than the best deal that you can get. So if you go to trig.re/AppSumo, you'll be led to that deal page, and you can actually get a lifetime deal there, which is something that we never do and never will do again. I gonna almost promise you that. So you get unlimited functionalities, workflows, access to all the templates, the lab in the main environment, Zapier integrations, our standard performance package, which is like you've seen, really fast. You can use a custom URL for your package and custom settings, weekly backups, payment services, audit logs. Do you have any representative in the MENA region? I see. So I'm going to go into the questions now. We do not have that. We currently only have European representatives and US representatives, such as the people at NoCoDevs and our partners there. But we have a partner program. So if you're interested, you can definitely schedule, for example, a free Q&A through our website and get talking about that. I also see the license cost. Yeah. So it's charged per action, and you can see the pricing on our website. It's all very open. So normally we start at 19 euros a month. Sorry, dollars. That's $23, $24 a month. So that's roughly where it starts at, and then it goes up as you need more actions. But you can do a lot with very few actions, actually. Is there a template for typing to count the words you are typing in 1 minute? No, that's not something that I think that we can do. These are really web-based applications, so I don't think that that's something that we can do. So there are things that we can do are like web-based processes for businesses. That's where we really shine. That's our background. So that's how you can do that. Can you connect existing data sources, SQL, Oracle? Yes, if you can do it through Zapier, but you can't connect your existing sort of your own designed data model to it. And the reason that we don't allow for that is because we see Triggre as a very simple platform. So we want everyone to be able to use it, which means that we want to keep everything as simple as possible. So this is why it's a little bit closed off in that sense. But if you use Zapier, you can connect ODBC. I think they have a connector for that. They have MySQL. They have SQL Server from Microsoft. So you can definitely connect that. The license is for individuals. You have this license is actually also for businesses. So what you're looking at on the pricing page. You can use that also for your business. Yep. Can you create a web app? Or, yeah, only web apps. So it's all web based. So there's no integration in terms of it's no native apps on phones. We don't have that yet. Do you have an integration with Xano? I don't know Xano. We don't have native integration with it for sure. If it has a connection with Zapier, we can connect with it 100% certain, because how it works, you can create your own processes. So those automation flows are basically also able to create basically an API for you, and you can call them from other applications. So you can really determine yourself what kind of API you want and which process should start when. And the other way around, it goes when data gets added or edited, you can start a Zap off of that. How can we get training? Well, training we have in the designer, we have actually free exercises in there. So with the exercises, you can learn the tools, and we have other courses that you can also do. So in our partner program, if you want to become a partner, we have different styles, but in the application, there is actually learning material built in. We also have a knowledge base with a lot of articles, tips and tricks. We have YouTube videos on our YouTube channel. So there's a lot of training material out there. And I know that some other people are also separate from ourselves, are actually building training material for Triggre. How do you clear a template and start with a blank canvas? You always get a empty version that you can always load in and start from an empty canvas. So if you go to your versions and you search by typing, start typing or click the search icon, you can start to look for the empty, and then you can start again. Xano is a robust online backend server system. Yeah. I don't know all the systems, I'm sorry. But like I said, you can connect with systems through multiple ways. The most popular one is just Zapier, so that's why I named it. I don't know if they have an integration with Xano. NCD also has some Triggre tutorials. Thanks, Paul. That's super cool. Yeah. So on the no code devs site and the Chrome extension, you can find some tutorials. That's also really nice. Yeah, so we have multiple people that are already like doing it externally as well, which is really cool. Do you have a partnership program? Yes, we do. So we have a partnership program where very quickly to talk about it, where we basically we have 3 levels. So you have registered partner, we have a certified partner, and we have preferred partners. The registered partnership is that we actively bring you leads for people that want to build something. With the certified partner, it means that you've done some of the more deeper trainings and some things, and you get a commission, and that commission goes on the monthly fee that the customer pays. Now, this is a very important thing for us. We want our people, our customers, to determine themselves how much they pay. So this is why it's an action-based thing. So they pay based on how much they use, and they will only use more if it's beneficial to them. This is what we see for our current customers. So it's also the partners in the partners' interest to make sure that their customers are actually using it for a good business case. And you can become a certified partner simply by contacting us, just schedule a Q&A or drop us an email, and we'll get you started. We don't have an online subscription form for that yet, but that can be done. And then one of my colleagues will get you up and started for that. Yeah, and so that the commission based it's not a limited time. We give commissions for every month that people are a customer for us. So if you are a partner and you have a customer that uses Triggre, you'll get that commission every day. And obviously you can charge for your own time that you help them if so needed. This is useful for external facing apps. I would say it's mostly currently for internal facing apps, because we focus very much on the usability. So we don't focus as much currently on, let's say, the pixel perfect making of a user interface. You can use it for externally facing applications. So our own, we've got our customer portal actually runs on it. So My Trigger actually runs on Trigger. We have internal applications that do it. Some of those applications that I showed you, like OCI Nitrogen, their customer portal is a customer-facing one. But I would say it's not specifically for consumer-facing applications, because we want to keep the building so simple that, yeah, we've decided really to scope down onto making business applications for business to business mainly. Yeah. That was a lot of questions already. So
yeah, thanks for that. Is there any more questions in the chat?
I think I tackled all of them.
Yeah, I think you smashed it, to be fair. You did well. But I think if that's everything by everyone, then we will close this webinar. Thank you, Jesse, for doing this. It's been a great run through Triggre. Looks an amazing tool, and I'll definitely be jumping on again. If you get any more questions, you can follow Jesse on, is it Twitter you're on, Jesse?
Yep, I'm mostly active on Twitter and LinkedIn. Yes.
And what's your Twitter handle?
Jesse_Meijers. So it's this. Oh wait, this is to all. I want everyone. There we go. That is with an @ in front of it, obviously, but that's my handle. Yep.
Brilliant. So we will be sending this video. This video's been recorded. This webinar's been recorded. So if you need to watch it over again, we'll be sending it out next 2 or 3 days. I hope everyone has enjoyed the webinar, and thank you, Jesse, again, and thank you everyone for attending. Right.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you.